Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
And now, breaking news from migraine sufferer Whoopi Goldberg about Nurtec ODT Rimegepant 75 milligrams.
I got big news. Now Nurtec ODT is the first and only medication proven to treat and prevent migraines. This is big time.
Don't take if allergic to Nurtec ODT. The most common side effects were nausea, stomach pain, and indigestion. For important safety information, prescribing information, and patient information, visit Nurtec.com. Ask your doctor about Nurtec today.
Nurtec, baby.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more. At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Welcome to Beer Nuts, episode 191. It is one of our favorite episodes of the year, the celebration of Stout season. Although for all of us, it's always Stout season, but usually beginning in November is when Founders proclaims their Stout season, so we'll roll with it. Any chance we get to celebrate with a stout is okay by my book. So we have 5 beer nuts tonight, so we'll go around the horn and introduce each other. So JR here in Arizona, but I'm going to start east to west and introduce our beer nut lineup for tonight. So welcome, Ross from Durham, North Carolina.
Nice to be back again.
Do you have a recent Untapped?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I have the Paradox of Alternating Minds. It was a double pastry stout from Resident Culture. It was quite an awesome beer. It had a lot going on. Probably needed to have it a couple more times to figure out everything that was going on in that. A lot of stuff in it, but it ended up being really good.
Sounds awesome. So let's go back up to the Mitten, to Michigan. We'll go to John Golden and Dugout in Clawson. Welcome back, gentlemen. Anybody still there? Hello?
I've got him as muted on mine. That's what they're showing.
Okay, there we
Greg
go.
is muted.
Doug handed me the phone and was like, "You're all set," and apparently he muted it.
Oh, okay.
Unmuting. So anyway, this is John Golden from Royal Oak, Michigan, and my last Untapped check-in was a Space Station Middle Finger from Three Floyds Brewing Company. It's a American Pale Ale. I thought it was just decent. It wasn't great, wasn't good. It was a little on the harsh side. Very more towards an IPA than a pale ale, but still within guidelines, I guess. But just missing a little bit of the malt balance I usually like in a pale ale, but nonetheless, still a pretty decent beer. And I will pass it over to Dugout.
All right. And side note on Three Floyds, JR, I saw that they were coming out with the Arctic Panzer Wolf, and I think it might even be in cans. So if I see any out and about, I'll pick some up for you.
All right.
But this is, so this is Dugout. I'm in Clawson, Michigan, and my last Untapped check-in was Verity, and it's by a local brewery called Brewery Faison. They're out of Detroit. They do all Belgian-style beers. And I got to say that I've had 4 or 5 different ones from them, and they're all really tasty. They did a presentation at our Homebrewed Club on Monday, and they handed out the recipe for their Raspberry Saison, which anybody in the club could brew. And then if you turned in a version of yours, then you got a can of theirs, which is a pretty cool deal. They were interesting people, sort of, and but the beer is outstanding.
Awesome. So let's leave awesome Clawson and go over to Dearborn, to Greg.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here. This is Greg from Dearborn, like you said. So my last Untapped check-in was from Back Hill Beer Company out of Rochester, New Hampshire. This was their anniversary #1 IPA, very flavorful, very hoppy IPA that very reminiscent of, for me, at least flavor-wise, what I would normally expect out of a double IPA or a triple IPA. But because it was a single IPA, 6.75, it blew my mind. It was very good. I loved it, and I definitely would try more for them. They were good.
Awesome. Well, and then this is JR here in Vail, Arizona, just outside of Tucson. And my last Untapped check-in was last night at a place called Boulders on Broadway in Tempe, Arizona. I had a quintuple barrel Big Bad Baptist. It's a 2018 release number 11. And when I went to check it in, it was available for check-in, but there was 0 check-in. So I think this might be the first time I've ever had the one and only check-in of a beer. So pretty cool. But it was a quintuple barrel. It had a lot going on. If anything, maybe some of the flavors have faded because it's 2018, not too long ago. But I gave it a 4.2. I expected it to maybe be a little bit better. It was just ever so slightly medium-bodied versus a full, but great flavor and still very enjoyable. And as all the Big Bad Baptists seem to be, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's about it. So again, we are all excited about celebrating the official opening of stout season, even though most of us always enjoy a good stout. So we're going to start on the East Coast tonight and start with Ross out in North Carolina. Before we do that, let's invite everyone, as we always do, to please crack open a beverage of your choice, a beer. Doesn't matter whether you like Coors Light, Miller Lite, hopefully not Bud Light, but even if you like Bud Light, that's okay, because we're not a bunch of pretentious beer snobs. We simply want to introduce more good people to more good beer. So in light of that, let's go to Ross in Durham.
Okay, got to unmute myself there. So what I'm going to have tonight is the Treehouse, The Universe is Indifferent. And I've been kind of lucky over the last several months because my brother has been making regular trips up to the Northeast. And he has been kind enough to stop by Treehouse when he's had the chance and bring some things back to my mother's house, which is kind of 5 hours north of me. But when I've gone up to visit her, I've been able to fetch him and bring him back down here. And this is one of the goodies that he got me on one of his trips earlier this fall. And I've never actually had this one before by them. It's probably, from the description, it's straight dessert, but the description says, The Universe is Indifferent is an imperial milk stout brewed with lactose, chocolate, and coffee. It tastes like melted chocolate, chocolate syrup, and sweet milk chocolate bars. Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Decadent doesn't even begin to describe this delicious concoction. It would be absolutely beautiful for a holiday evening spent relishing in the things we have to be grateful for. So, it has, trying to see if we actually know what's in it besides the, or did I already say? Yeah, the chocolate and coffee and lactose. Okay, so I'm going to pop it open. Give it a pour. And it is very, very thick. It is dark. And it is generating a nice, thick, tan, dark brown head here. And it's all chocolate on the smell. It's just, you get just milk chocolate and fudgy, and then maybe a little bit of vanilla note there and coffee right at the end. They advertise coffee as one of the ingredients, but I'm barely getting any on the end. It is just a lot of chocolate up front. So give this thing a taste. Yeah, that is a lot of chocolate, and you're getting kind of both there. It does give you that milk chocolate first, and then it gets really fudgy, and then maybe there's a little bit of caramel note, coffee. The coffee you're getting a little bit at the end, a little bit on right at the end. It is very creamy too. It's a little bit more carbonated than I was expecting for something this thick. But yeah, this is definitely a sipper. It's something to share, and it's definitely got all the chocolate that they were advertising on it. A few, like I said, there's a little bit of hints of other stuff in there. But It is a lot of chocolate. Definitely probably needed to share this bottle. Very, very desserty. But it is very good. I'm going to sit here, and I guarantee you I will be slowly enjoying this while the rest of the beers come in. But Treehouse, I guess we all know they're known for making some pretty good beers, and this is another one of them. Nice thick winter stout, like dessert that you would want to share and sit by fire. So kudos to Treehouse. This is really good.
Sounds fantastic, and geez, Treehouse usually never disappoints. So it's great that you had a line to get some of that. Got any more? Bring them to Denver. Russ and I are going to see the Eagles and the Broncos next week, and we are actually going 3 days early to hit breweries before the game. So a couple days to enjoy some beers out in Colorado. So
looking forward to it.
Amen to that. As I told my wife, it's my last boondoggle of the year. So, all right. Well, that's a great beer to start with. Thank you, Ross. Let's go ahead and move up to Michigan. Who wants to go next? Gentlemen, how about John Golden?
Okay. So what I have today, well, first of all, I have to comment on the Eagles, is I thought they broke up after Glenn Frey died, who was actually and also a Royal Oak native, although I'm not native Royal Oaker, but I live here. So my beer tonight is from Siren Craft Brew. It is a barrel-aged Shattered Dream 2018 version. They say it's the imperial version of their favorite breakfast stout, the Broken Dream. Amped up the flavors to deliver sweet biscuit, dark chocolate, and deep roasted coffee notes. Aged in a selection of bourbon barrels, which should bring some vanilla and some distinct whiskey tones with a drying oak finish. So we'll see if that actually holds true here in just a second. So I'm going to take a sip of it now. Okay, so it's definitely a lot of vanilla in here. The bourbon is very subtle, very well blended. The wood is present, but it's not overpowering. It kind of has a little bit of some dark fruit flavor to it. I guess maybe some plums or almost even a red wine-ish kind of flavor in there. Just a really faint, but it's really good. I know it's old. It's 2018, so you'd think it'd be worn out by now, but
yeah, I'm drinking it too. I get a lot of really dark chocolate, like as dark as possible cocoa that you can get on this.
Yeah, like a 90% dark, bitter chocolate.
Bitter chocolate. It's just something about it, and I love it. And the bourbon, after all this time, the bourbon's still really strong, and it lingers on your tongue for a really long time.
Yeah, it's strong, but it's taken on a very, like I said, I almost get like a red wine kind of like a.
Yeah, there's some real complexity to it. That chocolate is up front. Now this was coffee also.
Yeah, not a lot of roast that I'm feeling.
No, and I feel that the coffee's just kind of faded out of it, or has become part of that bitter chocolate flavor. But either way, it doesn't detract from it at all. If you told me there was no coffee in this, I would believe you.
Yeah, but I think really good beer. I'm glad I found it on their clearance shelf, actually, at the local store, which kind of makes me think that, they don't really realize that, if this was an IPA and it was a 2018, definitely on the clearance shelf, but not a bourbon barrel aged stout. This is just finally coming into its real high point. Maybe a couple more years, it might start being a little bit Worcestershire sauce or soy sauce might start tasting like a Sam Adams triple bock or something like that.
And they probably
did
everybody a favor and had it sitting in the warm shelf the whole time. So it's been stable temperature, albeit not ideal, but still stable temperature.
Yeah, but nice beer. Glad I picked it up, and it was $4. So
yeah, it's amazing. There's some retailers out there that don't understand that, what styles of beer age well and what don't. So they just find old dusty bottles and they throw it in a shopping cart and fire sale it out, and you can find some good hidden gems like this.
Yeah, I've actually found quite a few at this particular store, but I don't know. I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to give away my my secret honey hole.
Well, and you also don't want them to know that they're reducing the price on some great beers. They could be selling it full price. So
well, let's just say this: it was on one of our episodes for gas station beers because it's a gas station.
Well, don't overlook the gas stations.
Anybody can get that clue. They're fine to go look for stuff. But you're not going to buy all their old crap anyway. So
no, not all of it.
No, some of it's vile.
Well, a lot of it are things like, IPAs that are, 3 years old. It's like, nope, not going to buy that.
And then they weren't good to start with. So
unless maybe I'm hoping that it has aged enough that it's become a barley wine.
So speaking of old beer, I've got a 2016, and almost to the day, package 1024, 2016. And this is a Bell's Expedition Stout. It's a Russian Imperial. And let's see how it's doing. I got this from I go to these kind of homebrewer share things, and there's one at our local homebrew supply store called Cadillac Straits. Big plug for those guys. They're awesome. They have a great brewery. And but they do this on a Monday night. Normally they're closed. And one of the guys just kept bringing in all this stuff out of his cellar and sharing it. So I had some 2012s. This one's more recent, 16. So the Expedition Stout. I mean, there's some really good complexity in the nose. I get almost like a fruitcake smell to it. Very pleasant, actually. A lot of dark fruit. Roasted malt.
Very, very dry.
There's not much of a head to it. I mean, it's just thick motor oil. There's not a lot of carbonation to it. There probably never was. It's pours like motor oil. The first sip I get off of it, you just get this. There's no fusel to it for 10+%, which is great. This has been stored really well. It's definitely like motor oil, but there's a lot of hop presence in this, in addition to the roasted malts. And although those hops, I'm sure, have faded, they're still there. It's actually really a hoppy beer. JR, you would dig this right now, I got to tell you.
Oh, I'm sure. I remember I used to buy 6-packs of that and just cellar it. And then when I moved, I had to get rid of a lot of that stuff. But that is a great beer to buy and cellar.
And Ross, you would too, man. This is it. Oh, and you too, Greg. What the hell?
Wow, I think that was a Dutch backhanded compliment if I've ever heard one. But
wait, I missed it. What did you say about me?
I was just saying that John Russ would enjoy this beer, and then I said, "Oh yeah, and Ross, you would too." And then I said, "Yeah, you would too, Greg."
Oh, okay. Wait, there we are.
Yeah. So, this is wow, it's killer. I think this is better. I bought some of the latest stuff, and I thought it was great. And I had some from I think 2012 or 13, not too long ago. That was okay. Some of their beers just seem to age forever. This is probably one of them.
Yeah, so I'm trying this one as well, and I will say it's compared to the previous beer we just drank, which was the bourbon barrel aged. This is just a regular imperial stout. It's really like an imperial version of a dry British stout because it finishes really clean. It's like you take a sip of it and you get this nice roasty, little bit of chocolate, nice hop balance to it, and then you swallow it and it's gone. You're like, well, wait a minute. I got to try that again to remember what it tasted like because it's gone already. But it's absolutely delicious. And Greg would like it too.
Maybe so.
Well, again, the other Bell's beer that I used to buy in cellar is the Third Coast Old Ale. That's another one. So they make some great, everyday beers that come out every year that, are worth just buying a 6-pack and sitting on it for several years like that one. They age quite well.
Yeah, I would say within the last year, and I saw it the last time I was there too, they have this section of the cooler at the homebrew shop and the gift shop called Larry's Cellar. And they put out all these beers from like way, way back. And Uncle Pete was there, and he had texted me and said, this is here. And I think we got some like Third Coast from 2003. And
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I think I still have a bottle. And I got some Eccentric Ale, too, from right around that time, and some Eccentric from, like, 2006. And the Eccentric was just drinking, like, amazing. But, the Third Coast was toast. But it's almost 20 years old,
Yeah, everything's got some kind of a lifespan.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Andrea Bocelli in concert, presented by Stiefel. December 15th and second show added due to popular demand. December 16th, Madison Square Garden. The world's most romantic voice, Andrea Bocelli. Tickets are on sale now for both the December 15th and 16th performances at Ticketmaster.com.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
With Prime, get light bulbs delivered in a day. Edison would be proud.
Indeed, I'm proud.
Get your everyday essentials delivered fast. Prime changes everything.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Well, all right. Thank you, gentlemen. How about Greg? I think I know that you'll like the beer that you're about to review.
I hope so, too. I really hope so, too. My beer tonight is from Eastern Market Brewing Company with a collaboration with their side project, Ferndale Project. And this is their 5-layer chocolate bar stout. So it comes in 7%. 16-ounce can, I got it in. Ironically, I did see this in our program from our Fall Beer Festival that we'll talk about here at Eastern Market. That was a couple weekends ago now. And I passed up on it, or I didn't pass up on it, but I had gone for another stout, and as I kind of regretted not getting this stout, but I was glad to see it in cans, and it seems to be part of their Halloween series. They did like 4 beers that they did in a mix pack, and so this one kind of has a woman figure on it that reminiscent of Morticia from the Addams Family. Also, ironically, looks a lot like Amy Lee from Evanescence. The resemblance is just spot on to me. So, description on the stout. 7% has caramel, chocolate, pretzel, peanut butter, and milk sugar. So all those sound really delicious to me. Pours beautifully in the glass here. Obviously dark as could be. Compact bubbles. Really, really, really tiny compact bubbles. First smell on it, you get, oh wow, a lot of sweet chocolate, rich peanut butter, maybe a little saltiness from those pretzels. Just Smells like a delicious stout, delicious dessert stout, that is. But first sip. Thirsty, here we go. Very good. Nice medium mouthfeel to it. Really coats the mouth well. Or medium thickness to it, I should say. More of that delicious milk chocolate, peanut butterish taste to it. Salty, a little bit of saltiness from the pretzels. Just really delicious. And this is killer. What else can I say about it? Not overly sweet. It's not like it's, like as we say, diabetes sweet. It's well balanced. It's just overall, I mean, for a 7% stout, it's got a lot of flavor. All the flavors are present. And really, really delicious stout from Eastern Market Brewing Company. I was certainly impressed, with the stout that they were offering at the Fall Beer Festival, and we all seemed like we all had it, maybe except for John, but at least Doug and I were raving about the other stout that we had. But these guys are really doing a great job there in Eastern Market in Ferndale. So definitely keep an eye out for them. They're doing some great things.
Well, sorry I missed that festival. I'm going to try to make it back next fall. But too many boondoggles this fall, plus a new job. So I'm sure you guys drank my share and then some.
We sure did. It was, it was definitely more flowing this year than in previous years. And there was some concern, because they had actually voted out the law that you needed to use those tokens. And there was some concern that they wouldn't be using the tokens. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I got a drawer full of these things. And I'm not not like a little drawer. Like, I could go to every festival, like, from now until I die, and probably still have some of those tokens left.
What do they do now? It's just unlimited?
No, you still give them. You still give them the tokens. I mean,
oh, I thought you said they outlawed them.
Just like you
yeah,
just
they did, but said they were still using them.
And they're like, yeah.
Well, I can tell you that when I used to pour at those festivals, I would just take handfuls out of the bucket. The people were redeeming them, so I also have a drawer full of those.
And John, by the end of the night, had earned his own, tokens. He did a few dances for people, so he earned a packet of them. And
yeah, so actually, it was near the end of the day, and I was actually there with Greg, and an older couple came up to us and said, "Are you guys going to be here for a while?" And we were like, "I don't know. We're at least for a little while." And the gentleman holds up a bag full of tokens. I think they each got one, and they only went through one bag of the tokens they got, and they're like, "Would you like these? We're leaving." It was like, okay,
sure.
So for the next beer festival, I will get my tokens that come with my ticket, and then I will have enough tokens to get me completely hammered after that. And if I run out, I'll just say, "Hey, Doug."
Yeah, I don't know why they still have those. I guess they just rules are rules, but rules are also made
let us
broken.
get through let us get through the inventory until they change it.
There you go.
Amen. You go. Well, hopefully I'll be there next year, and I'll bring my bag of tokens, and I'll leave whatever might be left.
So
all right,
I had one more beer here, and this is related to the beer fest because
cool.
This to me, this one really stood out. There were some incredible things. There was the 3-year vertical of malted milk ball by Parent.
Oh yeah.
I just stood there and did the whole vertical. That was killer. and then washed it down with a 2021 no rules.
just a nice light flight.
yeah. But across the yard from there was one of our friends' Oddside Ales, and this beer is it's a variant of Hazelnuts, and Hazelnuts is a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout, obviously with hazelnuts, but this one includes coffee, coconut, and toasted marshmallow. So I will see if the can version holds up to the draft, because the draft was incredible. Yeah, the note is wonderful. You get all that kind of caramel, toasted marshmallow, coconut, coffee. There's some intense chocolate bitterness in this one too, similar to the first one that I had with John Golden. Greg, you've had this, right?
Oh yeah, once or twice.
Yeah.
Or maybe more.
It's nice to see this stuff in cans, because, I'm sure like a cellar person wouldn't be great on a can, because they degrade faster than a bottle, in my opinion, and I think in most people's opinions. But there was some controversy some years ago with Odd Sides about saying, don't cellar our beers, just drink them. They're ready to go now. So
yeah,
it smells like a s'more.
That pretty much sums it up right there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it smells just like a s'more. I haven't tasted it yet, but I'm smelling it. It's like the marshmallow and the chocolate, and it's got a little bit of a bready kind of the graham crackery sort of.
As long as there's no peanut butter.
And it tastes like one too. It'd be, what? If it had peanut butter in it, it would be better.
Yeah.
Agree.
I disagree strongly.
This could actually handle peanut butter and be fine.
It actually could. It'd be like a Reese's peanut butter.
I'd rather I'd rather eat the Reese's and then drink it down with this.
Oh, that would be perfect. That would be.
I'd be down with that, because I can eat a Reese's peanut butter cup, but I still can't have a peanut butter beer. I've never found one I liked.
But I got to tell you, we usually would have like tons of that stuff hanging around because of Halloween. But for whatever reason, man, we got hit so hard with so many kids that, and it's like all the older kids, like they must have missed last year, and they figured, well, hell, I'm doing it. I don't care how old I am.
We had, do you know how many kids we had at our house for Halloween this year? Zero. So
same here.
I now have bags of Twix and Kit Kats and Reese's peanut butter cups.
And you totally need those, right?
Yeah, and I totally need them, because I watch my girlish figure.
Well, we have leftover candy too. We had maybe 24 kids.
Say girlish or goulash figure?
I figure once we hit like 75 or 80 or plus, and we're out of candy, and I was like, well, shut the lights off,
Just leave the bowl outside if they come around anymore.
Yeah, there was nothing. Nothing was left.
There you go.
And I've never had that. Well, I had that one time. That's when I first moved here, and I didn't know how many kids you'd get, And they just kept coming and coming. I'm like, crap, I got to go to the store. I don't have enough.
Just gone in the garden and picked out some vegetables.
Right? Yeah. Hey, here's a habanero. Here's a devil's tongue.
Anything but the dreaded popcorn balls. Did you ever get that when you were growing up? I was like, I am not eating this.
Dude, I had so forgotten about those. That's funny.
Those were the worst.
Yep. And Mary Jane candies that were like 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, yeah. When you bite into them, your tooth comes out with it.
No worse than a stack of pennies that I used to get.
Yeah, I got a rock.
Rock. Oh, my.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Right now, 1 in 7 people around the world needs a pair of glasses but can't get them. That's why OneSight exists, to help people everywhere get the glasses they need to learn more, earn more, and see a clearer future. How can you support OneSight's mission in communities around the world? All it takes is a simple donation to improve someone's life by giving them clear vision. Donate today at onesight.org. That's ONESIGHT.org.
filled this pickup at BP with Amoco Ultimate. We'll go up to 25 miles further per tank on the highway than with regular fuel.
Up to 25 miles?
Yep, we're gonna make it.
We're gonna make it?
I just said.
We're gonna make it!
Drive up to 25 miles further per tank with Amoco Ultimate with Invigorate. Available at BP and Amoco stations. Based on median difference between 93-octane Amoco Ultimate and 87-octane minimum detergent E10 fuels and late model full-size half-ton pickup trucks using EPA highway driving cycle. Assumes 100% of fuel in tank will be used. Results will vary based on what you drive, how you drive, and other factors.
ChristopherMedia.net.
All right. Well, I'm ready to review my beer, and a shout out to John Hill. He wasn't able to join us tonight from the Atlanta area. He's probably still celebrating the Braves World Series victory. But he sent me a series of beers a year or so ago. I looked this up online. It was from April of 2020. This is Orpheus Brewing in Atlanta, Georgia. They had a series of beers called the Vanilla Chronicles, where they had different beers brewed with different varieties of vanilla beans. So they had Indonesian, Ugandan, Tongan, Mexican, and Madagascar vanilla beans. Well, so I think I've pretty much polished off everything except the grand finale, which is the Grand Cuvée, which is some of each of those beers. So that's the beer I have tonight. It's called Stouts All the Way Down. It was a limited release. It's let's see what it says here. It says Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with Madagascan, Tongan, Mexican, Indonesian, and Ugandan vanilla beans. So it aged in Heaven Hill bourbon barrels, 12.5% ABV. So that's the beer I'm reviewing. I've powered through about half of this. This beer pours jet black, and the head on it it's amazing. I've had this thing open for the whole duration of the podcast, and there's still a wispy little thin layer of very dark brown head. One of the darkest brown heads I've ever seen on a beer. Very, very. I usually call it cola color, but this is much darker. So this is almost like a caramely looking color, but very nice looking. On the nose, I get mostly like chocolate malt, almost a little bit of a molasses on the nose. A hint of vanilla, not as much as I thought, because this is a big time vanilla beer. So let's taste this. I'm very happy that I went last, because when I pulled this out, it was like ice cold out of the fridge, and it's warmed up nicely, which is opening up the flavors. Predominantly, again, just like the nose, I'm getting surprising amount of like molasses, some dark fruit, bittersweet chocolate, caramel, a little toffee, and the vanilla is there. It's not quite as prevalent as some of the ones I had that were fresher. So some of the vanilla obviously has faded, but it's definitely a lot of complex. And the vanilla is actually coming through a lot more in the nose than it was when it was ice cold. But it's unmistakably vanilla. Again, all those other flavors make it a really nice, complex, quite enjoyable beer. And it seems like every time I take a sip, I can taste something a little different. So there's a lot of layers to it. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's got a 4.4 rating on Untapped. And I'd rate it right around there, about the 4.4, 4.5. Wonderful beer, Orpheus Brewing, Atlanta, Georgia. I like on the label it says, "Don't look back." Kind of one of their mottos. But Stouts All the Way Down, the Vanilla Chronicles Grand Cuvée. And I saved the best one for last, and it truly is a treat. I guess maybe the only comment I would make is maybe I could have drank this a little fresher. It would probably be a little bit more vanilla forward, but certainly still very, very enjoyable. So thank you, John Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. That wraps up the reviews. I'm sure that you guys might have some home brewing news for us, so turn it over to the Clausen guys. And I guess John Golden technically is a Royal Oaker. Any homebrew news? We might as well start with John Golden, because he missed the last episode. So what's new in the homebrewing scene for you, John?
So currently I have bubbling away in my basement a second version of my Spruce Shill IPA. It's actually, this is something that I had a very busy busy summer with all kinds of stuff going on. And Doug had actually gone to Bell's and picked up a bucket of Bell's wort for me to enter in their competition, their homebrew competition. And I got so busy with other stuff and had family things going on that I didn't do anything with it other than leave it in a bucket in my basement, waiting for me to boil it. And I finally got to it last weekend. Yeah, you can hear Doug laughing.
It's just amazing it survived sitting in your basement like that.
It did. It was in a sealed bucket and everything, and I was afraid when I opened up the lid. I was expecting to maybe see some mold or something, and it was like, there's not this stuff looks like virgin. So I figured, well, if there's anything in here, I'm going to boil it. So I'm going to kill anything in there anyways. And I added a bunch of spruce to it, and just a little bit of hops, nothing major. And it is now sitting in my basement, bubbling away, happy as a clam. Should be hopefully done fermenting in about another maybe 2-3 days. And I made this before, although I did it with some experimental hops, which apparently never made it into a actual hop named thing that I could get. So I actually talked to Cadillac Straits. This is another plug for Cadillac Straits here, but they had some ideas for something similar, but they didn't have any at the time. So I called up the Hang'em High Hops Farm in Michigan and talked to the gentleman there running the place. And he was like, at first he thought I actually was from a homebrew shop or was a commercial brewer. And then he found out I was a home brewer, or realized I was a home brewer. And he was like, oh, dude, I'm going to set you up. So my son was actually driving past the place like 2 days later. And I said, well, can I have him stop and pick up what I need? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I got, according to the guy, enough hops to keep me brewing for a year. So I got like 2 packages of every single hop they made, in addition to the 4 ounces of hops that I needed for my recipe. So I a big shout out to Hang'em High Hops. And from what I've been able to gather, just from smelling their hops, and I haven't actually been able to taste them yet because they're still in the beer, or still in the, still fermenting, but I'm expecting great things out of this. And then I will let Doug out tell about the upcoming thing that we have going on Saturday. So here's Doug.
All right. So yeah, fast forward. So this Saturday, John and I are brewing a wee heavy, and we're going to be at Urban Rest Brewing Company. I know they've been mentioned in the show before. They're in Ferndale. Great space, fantastic beers to style. Yeah, I think as far as Michigan breweries go, the amount and the exactness to style that brewery is one of the tops in my book. And that's saying a lot. I mean, when they brew their beers, they do them well. Anyways, we'll be in the parking lot. We're making a wee heavy, and the winner of this whole thing gets to brew on their system. So looking forward to that. That's Saturday. On tap right now, I have I had mentioned the brewery Faison out of Detroit. And I had brewed a Saison, but I didn't have any, and theirs was raspberry, and that was the recipe that they had given out. But I had all these blackberries from the backyard. And so I decided to use those instead and cook them down and put them through a strainer. So I just had this concentrate and put half of it in at fermentation and the other half in the dry hop. And this beer is fantastic. I think it's one of the better ones I've done in a long time, if not ever. It's entered into 2 competitions at this point, because I was like, even when it was before the second blackberry edition came in, we had tested it, and it was just drinking so well, And so, yeah, it's in, Siciliano's, which is a competition out of Grand Rapids. That's a big beer store and homebrew store in Grand Rapids. And then it also went out to the Foam Cup, which is a competition out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, odd times where you got to ship your beers so far to like get them into a competition, but hell, it's fun. Who cares? And then I've got a New England on tap right now that is a Griffin Claw recipe, and the president of our brew club works for Griffin Claw now, and this was a recipe from the head brewer, and it's a New England IPA, and God, it uses a shit ton of hops, and the volume was low, and just trying to get it from the fermenter into the keg was hell on earth because everything kept clogging up. And how it didn't get oxidized, I don't know, but it's actually tasting pretty good now that the hop burn has come off of it. But yeah, I just don't like brewing the hazies at home. It's just a waste, it seems to me. What do you got going there, JR?
I got nothing at all. I brewed an alt beer that I got very poor efficiency from, and then I didn't like it. I'm probably just going to dump it. It wasn't my best job. I think the biggest problem I had, and I've had this problem before, is I had the homebrew store mill my grains. Whereas before, when Michael Fry, my buddy Michael, was here, I used to use his mill. I think that was a big problem. So I am now going to invest in my own mill. That being said,
good choice.
Yep, and my homebrew club is having we have an annual camping trip. It's this weekend. I'll just be bringing some commercial beer with me for that. But as soon as I get back from that, I'm definitely jumping into another batch, and I'll probably do a batch of. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to brew yet. Maybe something like a porter or something like that. But then I'm definitely earmarked a batch of my famous Irish Car Bomb Stout that I brewed several years ago that everyone enjoyed. Made with Irish cream flavored coffee and Irish whiskey,
awesome.
so forth.
That's that oatmeal stout breakfast stout recipe, right?
Yep, and that's the base. And then I take some Irish cream flavored coffee. I ground that up. I put some in the boil, and then I put some in a mason jar with half a bottle of Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey and 2 vanilla beans scraped in there. And I let that sit while the beer ferments and about 3 weeks. And then I pour that in to the bottom of the keg before I rack the stout into the keg. And it worked out really well the last time. I'm going to try to do everything I did the first time. So, but it's on my radar to have it brewed in January. So we're drinking that thing around St. Patrick's Day. So, but I'm open for suggestions on what to brew next. I'm trying to come up with something different. Everybody's brewing IPAs, and now that I work for a brewery that makes great IPAs, I'll leave the experts to that. I'm looking to do something a little bit. I've always enjoyed the British Isle style beers, so I'm leaning towards a porter or something. I might do a Baltic Porter. Matter of fact, that sounds like a good plan. So.
You know what, John Golden, you got a pretty killer recipe for that, don't you?
Wait, for what?
Baltic Porter.
Yeah, I do.
So he can send you that.
Awesome, yeah. I definitely open to
that.
A good recipe.
We did 2 versions of it. One was a Scotch barrel.
Oh, right? Nice.
One was a Scotch barrel, and the other was a Montmorency cherry version.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Actually, in hindsight, I wish we would have put the Scotch and the cherry together and then just done a version just all by itself, just as a true Baltic Porter.
Well, I'm going to have to think about that because it might be cool to add something to that and spruce it up. Who knows? Maybe I'll put some vanilla in there. Vanilla porter. Baltic Porter with some vanilla beans. I'm not too far from the Mexican border, and they make some pretty good and inexpensive vanilla extract down there from the real thing. So I'll call it Mexican Baltic Porter. So yeah, that's what's up here. I'm a little disappointed that alt beer didn't work out for me, but I'm moving on to the next thing, and that's part of
That's
brewing.
the way
It's
you gotta
trial and
do
error.
it. I mean, you didn't do it for a hell of a long time, and then getting back into it. I mean, it's just, and then you're brewing by yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
sometimes it always seems easier with somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, don't wait." Well.
No, I didn't do anything wrong. It just I didn't get the efficiency. I got the beer was going to be below 4%, and it was supposed to be like 5.5%, and that's just not interesting. The last beer I brewed was an ordinary bitter that was 3.8%, but that's perfectly to style. That's what I wanted to brew. This beer was supposed to be, significantly stronger than it was, and it wasn't something that I enjoyed drinking. So I'm like, I'm not going to just put it on tap because it's there. So
right.
Got to have some standards. So I have a feeling a Baltic Porter should come out much stronger, but I am definitely getting my own mill, and I will make sure those grains, because I achieved perfect efficiency the first batch when I used Michael's mill. So I think that's the culprit. And
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not being ground to your specs, like, when you, like, for example, and here a final plug on Cadillac Straits, but they have an online form. And so if you know your recipe, you just cut and paste it into this web form, and then they ask you the grind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 is like powder, 2 is
they've changed it from standard is their normal to I forget the other term, but it's not a number anymore.
Oh, all right, okay, sorry, but you still get to choose your grind, and depending on what type of say what your false bottom is. If it's really kind of screen like, then you can go super fine. That stuff's not going to clog up.
Yeah, well, and the big thing is that they make sure that even if a particular grain that you're using if it's a smaller size grain, they will adjust the grind to make sure that it's fully cracked. Because that's what happens a lot of times is if you go to some homebrew stores and they have a cheaper version of a particular grain, usually the grains themselves are smaller. So when you ask for like a certain number grind, the number isn't necessarily relevant. It's make sure that at least all of the grains are cracked and that some of the grains aren't just passing right through without being cracked, because then they're useless. And you will have very poor efficiency and very poor conversion because these grains are, their shell is intact and they're basically filling up space doing nothing. And there's another homebrew store that I went to a couple of times and basically had that happen where they apparently had cheaper quality grains and they weren't cracked and we had very poor efficiency. And I'm not going to name them, but they're
John, you know who they are.
I know who they are, and I had problems there too. And I don't even think it's from the size of the grains as much as they probably grind so much stuff with their mill that the mill's just, it just doesn't do the job it should. And I remember the last time I went there, I had to run it 3 times before it looked like it was good. So yeah, we won't name names, but you know what? If I get my own mill, I'm the master of my own domain. And
but one thing is
something goes
Cadillac
wrong,
Straits
nobody to blame but myself.
Yeah, but Cadillac Straits, they're conscientious, and when you ask for standard grind, if they have grains that are bigger or smaller, whatever, they seem to actually accommodate that, and
they adjust the mill.
Everything is cracked to what should be standard for that size of grain.
Well, that's awesome. I wish they were closer to Arizona.
I'll bet you could order stuff online though, John, and it would be just, it'd be fine.
Well, I think I'm
But you
gonna
got a
just.
mill. You got the mill, right?
I didn't buy it yet, but I'm going to. Before I brew again, I'm getting my own mill. Okay. I made the conscious decision to do it.
If you're ordering grains online, if you're getting them from one of these larger national supply houses versus your local homebrew store, Cadillac Straits will ship. I don't know the shipping costs, but I'm sure it's just whatever the cost is. So,
Yeah, you know what? I remember when I brewed that ordinary bitter, and Michael came over and let me use his grill, his mill. There was nothing. I really enjoyed milling it right before I was going to brew with it. Freshly cracked grains, freshly milled. They smelled good, and
and you got dust all over.
I like that
house.
fresh. I like that. I like putting those fresh, brewing with the freshly cracked grains. So that's going to be my strategy going forward.
Sweet.
Yeah,
But if I was within driving distance of Cadillac, I would probably do that one.
That's one thing I always I kind of found out is I used to get stuff from Brewing World. They're having a I don't know if it's a going out of business or whatever you want to call it.
Get rid of our stuff.
Get rid of our stuff sale coming up soon. But one thing about them is that you milled your own grains. You'd scoop up whatever you wanted and you'd run it through the mill, and you could run it through once or twice or however many times you needed to or felt like was appropriate. But one thing I did notice is that every time I seemed to go there, I was wearing black jeans and black shirts and black jackets, and I walked out of there looking like this.
You look like you sanded the drywall off of a house.
Exactly.
That's the way, every time you bought grains there, that's the way it came out looking, and you'd be like, "Oh my God!" You'd have and I'd be there coming from work, and I got black pants and I got a black wool coat, and
yeah,
and I walk out of there, I'm like, "Oh, now I got to go next door to Coonan and have a beer to just kind of get some of the stuff off of me."
Yeah, and I was always like,
and...
I'd walk out of there going, you know what? I knew I was coming here. Why didn't I wear some khaki pants and
your painter's outfit?
Yeah,
your painting clothes.
Exactly. But that's what the milling your own grains comes with a cost and also a benefit because you know what you're getting, and you can only blame yourself if it doesn't turn out right.
Amen. Well, I'll keep you guys posted because when I get back from my trip to Denver, that's when I plan to brew that Baltic Porter. So, on that line, I'd say let's schedule the next episode to be Road Warriors because Russ and I will pick some stuff up in Denver, I'm sure, to bring home. I'm bringing my bigger suitcase that's the hard shell. So, guys, plan on awesome. Road Warriors next time. So
the Road Warriors is fine. That's fine.
That'll work.
Bring your big suitcase, but on your way out, fill it with nothing except for bubble wrap, and bring it home 4 times as heavy.
Yeah, you got to get under that 50-pound limit. That's the only stipulation.
Just leave your clothes in Denver.
I'm going for quality over quantity. It's not going to be. I don't have to have the whole suitcase full as long as I have 6 bottles of something really good. Well, all right. Anybody else have anything? Anybody else have any other beer news to talk about or releases? Anything happening in North Carolina, Ross?
I was just talking to my buddy from Southern Pines the other day, and they're doing the next batch of Drunken Vigils will be coming out in December. So
weren't they going to do a show with us?
Yeah, I need to talk to them about it. Things have been busy. October, between COVID and then October was the first real month everybody around here. There's been stuff going on every weekend, multiple anniversary parties, multiple beer fests. It's been busy here. But yeah, I'll talk to Jamie again and see what we can say.
Yeah, maybe January will be a little bit of a lighter schedule for him. So we can schedule it a little bit, several weeks out if that helps. Let's try to make these as we go into with an eye on episode 200 with Coonan. Let's see if we can get a couple more breweries lined up between now and then. And those are among our favorite episodes and most downloaded episodes. So, plus any excuse I have to drink Drunken Vigils, I'm taking it.
Yeah, I actually had a real good time this weekend. We had a beer festival here that was a charity event. All the proceeds went to some historically black college scholarship programs. And so I had some 20 BA Abraxas, and I had a Old Hickory for those of you who know who Old Hickory is here in North Carolina, they had some of their 12 and 13 Event Horizon on. That was pretty good. And then Casita, who makes a couple different good things, makes some really good stouts. The head brewer there, Ryan, he's worked with Hill Farmstead and stuff many times. They do collaborations. And they had a BA version of their Querido y Perdido, which is their kind of Mexican stout. That was really good. So Saturday was a good day.
Yeah, you know what? When you said that, it reminded me of an old favorite beer we had in Michigan. Whatever happened to the brewery that made Cabra Perdita? What was the brewery right on the border down there, Doug? It used to be like a big time.
Greenbush.
You never hear them anymore. Are they still
Well,
in business?
they made some changes in the way they do things. I think they realized that they were overextended with their footprint in the distribution. So they reeled it way back and then just scaled all their distribution way back and then just focused on the brew pub. And then they've got the place across the street, which is also the brew pub, but it's a cheese shop and cured meats and bottles and merchandise. So it's like they own like the whole, like 40% of downtown Sawyer, Michigan is Greenbush.
Well, you know what? My buddy Joe from Liberty Street, Joe Walters, I used to teach with in the brewing program at Schoolcraft. He also decided to get out of the distribution business. He had beers in like Meyer and some of the big chains, and he was financing all that distribution with profits from his tap room. And he said, enough's enough. And, you know, it's a profitable business when you take that out. So it's a cutthroat business to get, you know, shelf space these days when you're battling all those big brewers with deep pockets. So that's probably what Greenbush did. They noticed that, you know, hey, this is where the money's at. Let's just cater to the locals. And I think it's a great strategy. I know, you know, the brewery I work for, that's where the most of the profits are. You know, self-distribution is a good thing for brewers. So hats off to them for, you know, figuring out that maybe we don't need to be everywhere. But I will say I do miss that barrel-aged Cabra Perdido. It was a fantastic beer that was a blackberry, I think it was, or blueberry.
Blueberry. Yep.
That was a great beer. So anyway, Ross, you just inadvertently jarred my memory on a beer that I'd completely not heard of Greenbush in so long. Was Greenbush at the festival, guys?
No.
So they're even out of that. They're just
they pulled out of that in a few years ago in kind of a snit. And some real negative, I don't know if it was, I think it was really negative Instagram stuff. And boy, they just went off. Like, and that was around the same time that they were just getting out of the distribution. And somebody should have put the, like, don't, change the password on the account for whoever was typing the stuff out. But it was kind of, you know, it wasn't classy. And so there they are, but they're still doing good beer. I mean, you go in there, it's a fun place. It's on that trail right there. And you got Greenbush, and you got Transient, and you got Haymarket, and you got Watermark. And man, how can you go wrong with just hitting those in a single day? And they're all within miles of each other.
Beer Church is still out there too, right?
Beer Church is on the other side, and then Burnham is right on the other side of Beer Church, on the Indiana side.
Yeah, so I'm going to real quick go back to Liberty. Kind of a fond, a lot of fond memories for me is that. So I grew up in Plymouth, and Liberty is in the area of Plymouth. Called Old Village, or at least that's what they used to call it. I think they've changed the name maybe to make it sound a little more gentrified or something. I don't know what. Not that Plymouth could be gentrified, but anyways, it's a really cool place. They make actually some really good beer. I remember actually they had a distribution deal for a while where Their beer was actually sold at Detroit Metro Airport at probably about 3 times the price you could get it in the tap room. But it's also the place where I took my tasting test for my BJCP exam. So they were gracious enough to essentially donate their entire upstairs for a tasting exam. So they're obviously really good beer people and interested in promoting beer and beer judging and beer tasting and all of the the subtleties that go into appreciating good beer.
Amen. And yeah, if anybody ever goes by Liberty Street in Plymouth, reach out, see if Joe Walters is there, and tell him I said hello. Tell him I sent you. Great guy. They're great beer people there. Like you said, they're very good friends of the craft beer community. And I couldn't be happier that I know it was a tough decision to divest yourself from all that distribution, but I can remember that Joe was actually thrilled to be relieved to be getting out of that, because it's a very, very tough business to succeed in when you're battling all those big brewers with deep pockets, and I'm sure he's in a much better place now.
And I do have, like I said, I have fond memories of that place, and actually even before it was Liberty Brewing. It used to be an antique store, and me and a couple of friends of mine, some real good friends. One of them who's fortunately passed away within the last year, but another friend who's out in California. We used to go in there when we were in somewhat altered states before we were old enough to drink, and browse through the antique store that used to be in that building, and just great part of town. Love Plymouth. It's although it's become not as nice places that I remember it. It's sort of become this total yuppie. It's like Birmingham West, I guess.
Oh well. Well, I can tell you that's where you find good beer in Plymouth. Go see Joe Walters, Liberty Street Brewing. Matter of fact, I might have to call him and get him on an episode before we hit 200. Maybe that'll be one of our brewery episodes.
Yep, actually, they're in the part of Plymouth which didn't used to be cool, but now it's kind of cool. So it's actually cool.
All righty then. Well, before we head to Mexico City, I had to expand on one thing you said, John Golden. You said something about the Eagles losing Glenn Fry, and rest in peace, Glenn Fry. But I think the Eagles, even in their late ages here, without Glenn Fry, still could have put up a better fight to my Philadelphia Eagles than the Detroit Lions did. And I'm now a believer that they could potentially go 0-17.
Wait. So what you're trying to tell me is that beating the Detroit Lions is considered an accomplishment?
Not really, but when you win 44-6.
If you lose to the Detroit Lions, then you really, 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 really suck.
Let me tell you, our Eagles haven't looked great this year, and I was kind of worried about that game. But 44-6, when the 6 points was in garbage time.
Why were you worried about losing to the Lions?
Well, if you watch the Eagles play the Raiders,
if you haven't watched the Eagles play this year, you'd know why.
I was at the Raiders game in Las Vegas, and after that game, I was convinced that the Lions would beat us.
No, see, the Lions. There's two things you can count on the Lions every year. They will win a game they have no business winning, and they will lose a game they have no business losing. So their best shot, when you look at their schedule this year, was to beat Philadelphia, and they got slaughtered. Their best chance to lose, although they did lose, was against the Rams, and they actually almost won that game.
They might end up beating Green Bay if Rodgers is out for a while. They might even beat the Bears on Thanksgiving. I mean,
yeah, they're going to win a game they shouldn't win, but they're going to lose the rest.
I don't know. After what I witnessed the other day, I'm thinking 0-17 is a very real possibility.
We're hanging that 0-17 banner. I'm guaranteeing that.
Hey, they already own the record for 0-16. Why not break it?
Well, they share it though. This be a nice title to own.
Yeah, but imagine if they go 0-17, it'll be all theirs.
That's right.
So I'm gonna buy an official Lions jersey that the name is Owen, Owen.
I've seen that meme on Facebook.
And the number
17.
Yep.
Owen 17.
Yep.
That will be a best-selling jersey if they pull that off.
It will. I mean, if we're going to own records, we might as well own them, right?
I don't even like the Lions. I'd get it.
Just make them unattainable, like nobody else will ever get here.
All right, I think we've digressed enough.
Maybe next year they'll change the schedule to 2 preseason games and 18 regular season. We can be 0-18.
And one last football reference before we go to Mexico City. Congratulations to Greg on the Spartan victory over the Skunk Bears.
There,
undefeated record.
We're enjoying it, and we're moving forward with it.
Well, one game at a time, but 8-0 looks pretty sweet.
I like it.
All right, everybody. Well, it's great to be back, and we'll be back with in a couple weeks with a Road Warriors episode. Russ and I will tell you about the beers we discover in Denver, and the other beer nuts, I'm sure, will find some beers in their travels to review as well. So thanks for listening. Chris isn't here to tell you all the platforms you can reach us on, but if you want to find us, you will. We're all over the place. And now we're going to head to Mexico City. So as they say in old Mexico City,
With MailChimp, you get a whole lot more than a URL. You get an all-in-one marketing platform to help drive sales. That means you can connect your data to make more informed, smarter decisions. And you get powerful automation tools like our Customer Journey Builder to ensure you never miss an opportunity to turn shoppers into loyal customers. So if you're ready to integrate your marketing and boost sales, get started today at MailChimp.com/smartmarketing. MailChimp, built for growing businesses. With MailChimp, you get a whole lot more than a URL. You get an all-in-one marketing platform to help drive sales. That means you can connect your data to make more informed, smarter decisions. And you get powerful automation tools like our Customer Journey Builder to ensure you never miss an opportunity to turn shoppers into loyal customers. So if you're ready to integrate your marketing and boost sales, get started today at MailChimp.com/smartmarketing. MailChimp, built for growing businesses.
When your dad started building a man cave in your bedroom, you knew it was time to start building something for yourself. Let's job it up. At Career Builder, we're ready to help at every stage of your search. Build a resume, get industry tips and advice, and apply to multiple jobs in just one click. Start your search at CareerBuilder.com.